the inner and the outer view of the story you're writing or film you're making. Two viewpoints that are helpful to have a clear understanding of. The outer viewpoint would be conceptualizing what the story will look and feel like while you're going through it, what will happen, and its effect on the viewer of the film that you're working on. Thinking about that while you're working on the film or writing the story. The inner view of the story is looking into the way everything fits together for the world you're creating, why things are the way they are, the cause and effect of that world, the laws of nature of that world, what can and can't be done, why things are built the way they are built, the economy, the inner workings, how everything fits together and makes sense in that story, the dynamics between the characters, their intentions. This is all the inner workings. Why so-and-so is being antagonistic towards so-and-so, the motive. So these are very different viewpoints to have on your writing, and both of them are, it's important to be in either one or the other while you're working on your story. And also, I make these tutorials to get the word out about my website, solomation.com, solomation.com, where you can view animation of the project I'm working on, and even get a book. It's for the series Terrible Immunity. And so if you like my tutorials, I'd greatly appreciate it if you take a little time to go over there and check it out. So, with the outer viewpoint, now I've seen a good number of movies that I recognize as being worked on mostly from the outer viewpoint. So these are movies where something happens that really is very appealing. I remember watching a movie where there are these cubes that are being lifted up into the trees, and the effect was very appealing. And so later on, the movie didn't hold up. By the next day, I was thinking, well, why would they bother doing that? And there's no real reason for that happening. And the story kind of fell apart, and it didn't have as much impact because I didn't feel like the stakes were real. I felt like, if someone was in danger, I felt like they didn't have to find a convincing way out of that danger, a satisfyingly convincing way out of that danger. So while in the film I didn't feel like they were in danger. And a main point of this tutorial is that I am not knocking the outer view of writing and filmmaking. I think it's very important for this reason. We need to get a sense for what it's like to take a tour through that story, to start from the beginning to the end, and get a feel for what, if the story is a roller coaster ride, what is that ride like? And the only working on a story from the inner view could turn out to create a very solid story, but one that is just not as interesting a ride, because we don't switch back to that outer view where we think, well, if this was going on, then I could, the roller coaster could go up another 10 feet before it drops down. So by taking the outer view of the story and thinking of the story purely for the interest of the scenes the characters in, the intrigue of what's happening and the things they say and the odd things about that world or about that location where the character works at, just working creatively in that way can greatly enhance the suspense and entertainment value of your story. So my approach is to go back and forth, to go to the outer view of the story where I'm thinking, wouldn't it be incredible if, and I didn't use this, but if they, built a land ship that, lifted away and, and while I'm thinking that, I forget about all the inner workings, all the philosophy behind why that world works the way it does, and I'm just thinking about the enjoyment of the story as it's an entertainment, as it's like a ride, and think about how things that come to mind are things that would enhance the viewers. They see something interesting and it draws them in, and it's very surface level, and at first there may not be anything behind it, but once I get those ideas down, I can go back and think about, well, if I have this, why would they do it that way? Work it in so that it makes sense. If this is going on, would they really have that in that location? And make the stakes real. If you're building up danger, make it to where your character really has to get out of the danger to convincingly enough to make it seem like the stakes are real, and not being so concerned with working on the story from an inside viewpoint that the circumstances that you're putting your characters in are not as exciting as they could be, and are not as visually interesting, and not as just unique, and things that you've never really seen before that can draw the viewer in. So to recap, very helpful to be very clear about which mode you're in. Are you working in your story from the inside? Are you working on the cause and effect of the story? If they had a fire extinguisher, would there really be a fire extinguisher there? They need to be convinced about everything. So that's a good way to look at the story. And then looking on it on the outside, where you're thinking, wow, wouldn't it be great if this happened, and wouldn't it be great if that happened and that happened, and these are your ideas for what's going to happen with your characters, and have not gone and done a check through with the convincing quality of those things. And so I hope that was helpful. I hope your writing and filmmaking goes good, and also encourage me to make more of these. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Do you have an insight on my topic? And subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.